guys, welcome back to another episode of my Wedding Bell series. Today I'm going to be talking about some wedding etiquette faux pas. I'm going to be talking about 8 different do's and don'ts that the bride and groom should consider in order to properly host your guests. The number one thing you want to remember when wedding planning, and a lot of people will say something to the contrary, is that the day isn't all about you. Yes, the ceremony itself, the ceremony where the bride and the groom are getting married to one another, that time is all about the bride and groom. The reception, however, is about the guests and a way of thanking them for coming to support your marriage. One of the first things that we all do is form our guest list. One of the number one faux pas is having what is called a B list. Having a B list means that you have your A list, which is all of your guests that you absolutely do want to invite, and then you send out your invites for those particular guests. And your B list consists of people that you send invitations out to once you start getting declines from your A list. The reason that this comes off as really rude is almost anyone will know that they're on the B list if they're on the B list. Generally speaking, people know the length of time between the RSVP date and the date that they receive the invitation. So if that time frame is very, very short, then it's a pretty good indicator that they're on the B list. It just gives people the impression that they weren't their first choice and that they're just being invited to fill seats. And it can be seen as very gift-grabby. Faux pas number 2, which still has to do with the invitation process, is not inviting someone's significant other. A lot of people really get confused about the term +1. A +1 is for guests who are truly single and are not in any kind of a relationship. If a guest is in a relationship, regardless of the length, they should be invited along with their significant other by name. Some people come up with rules like only inviting couples that are engaged or married or living together, but the polite thing to do is to invite the significant other of anyone who is in a relationship. You're inviting these people to be with you on the most special day of your life to celebrate your love, yet you're denying the existence of their own relationship. Just because they're not living together or engaged or married does not mean that you know the significance of their relationship or how serious they are. You cannot judge the seriousness of someone else's relationship. But apart from that, +1s are optional. +1s are just a nice thing to do for your truly single guests. For example, if they don't know anyone else at the wedding, then it would be nice to offer that particular person a +1 so they can bring a person with them if they so choose. Wedding etiquette faux pas number 3 is putting registry information on your wedding invitations. This is a huge no-no. First of all, it comes off as really gift-grabby. Second of all, gifts are optional. I mean, it's become very common practice to give gifts at weddings, but it should in no way be expected. And putting it on the invitation just further pressures your guests to get you a gift. This includes posting your registry information on any kind of social media, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, whatever else exists in this day and age. The only acceptable ways to spread information about your registry is either with the bridal shower invitations, and even then it's not on the invitation itself. It can be on a little insert card, but generally speaking it's more by word of mouth. Or you can always put it on your wedding website, and you can include your wedding website with your invitations. Number 4 is also related to gift giving. A lot of couples may be getting married later in life, or they may already have all of the basic necessities that couples typically need when they're starting their life together, such as Peter and I. We have been living together for a couple years now, so we pretty much have all of the basics that we would need. That being said, a lot of people don't want people getting them random gifts that they don't necessarily need, or getting them gifts of things that they already have, so they think it's an acceptable option to just ask for money instead. You should never ask for money, ever. It is seen as so rude and so tacky, and it doesn't matter how you word it. People sometimes do those cute little poems explaining how they have everything they need and they would just, like money to go towards this or that. But regardless of how you ask for it, it's tacky nonetheless. Adults know how to give money as a gift. You don't need to tell them. You don't. Just don't do it. What you can do is either have no registry at all or a very, very small registry. That typically gives people the hint that cash would be preferred. And this includes honey funds. I really do not understand the point of a honey fund, of using honey fund. Honey fund is a website where you can set up an account and basically people can donate through the website to go towards your honeymoon. The problem I have with this is that if you give money through the website takes a cut of it. And I don't see the point in that when they could do it the old-fashioned way and put money in an envelope and give it to you at the wedding. And if they give it to you at the wedding, then you're getting all of it and there's no other corporation or website or anything taking a cut of it. I just really don't understand the purpose. Plus, it just puts people into a very awkward situation where they're now contributing money towards your honeymoon, which a lot of people don't even have the luxury to take a vacation themselves. The purpose of wedding gifts to begin with is to provide a couple with all of the basic necessities that they need. You know, like starter items like plates and cutlery and household items and things like that. A honeymoon is not a necessity by any means. A vacation is never a necessity. Yeah, that's just seen as very tacky in general. Just have a small registry or no registry at all. People will naturally give you money regardless. People know how to give money and then just end up using that money that you get for your honeymoon if that's what you want to do. But don't ask guests to directly contribute to your honeymoon through a website that takes a portion of what your guests are donating towards you. It's just... Number 5, now we're actually going to talk about the wedding day itself. So for the ceremony, you need to have a seat for every butt. This is absolutely essential. There's no excuses, no way around it, no ifs, ands, or buts. You need to have a seat for every butt. That needs to be something that you budget for. If you have a venue that doesn't provide seating, you need to budget for seating. That's not something that you can, cut from the list. The same thing as food. It's an essential thing that will ensure your guests' comfort, and that should be important to you. Some people try and cut costs by thinking to themselves,
oh, we're gonna have a short ceremony, like maybe we'll just get a few chairs for the elderly guests,
etc., etc. But you don't know the health of all of your guests. There might be younger guests who have issues with standing for long periods of time, and no matter how short your ceremony is, even if it's tops like 20-25 minutes, that doesn't count the amount of time that people may get there early and then standing around waiting for the ceremony to begin, the ceremony itself, and then whatever portion of time there is after the ceremony from the reception. I know that when I take the bus and I have to stand for a 15-minute bus ride, my legs start cramping up. I'm only 26 years old, okay? So I'm sure that there are several other reasons why guests would not want to stand for any length of time, as long as it's not any longer than 5 minutes, but your ceremony is not going to be that short. Number 6 is avoiding long gaps between the ceremony and the reception. There are several ways that you can cut down on the time between your ceremony and reception. One of the ways that you can do that is to have a first look. I totally understand why this isn't a route that a lot of people want to go. If you're very traditional and don't want to see each other until you're walking down the aisle, that's perfectly fine. It's just an option that's out there for you. Peter and I are going to do a first look for several reasons, but one of the reasons is so that we can get some of our bridal party shots and bride and groom shots out of the way prior to the ceremony, so that way there's less pictures to take between the ceremony and the reception, so that way the guests can get to the reception earlier, we can get to the reception earlier, and we can actually enjoy some of our own cocktail hour. Another way to cut down on this time is to have your photos at the same location. So this can be hard if you have your ceremony and your reception in different locations, but if you happen to have them both in the same location, then maybe try and take your pictures at the same location as well, instead of having to go to a separate location to take photos, because then you need to consider the travel time to get there and to come back. However, if a long gap is unavoidable, as I know it sometimes is, then at least have some type of food or entertainment or list of ideas for guests to do that they can do during that time to keep them entertained and comfortable during the time that they're gone. Number 7 is your choice of meal. If you're going to have your wedding during a mealtime, then you need to provide a meal. If you have your ceremony around a mealtime, then people are going to expect a meal, so they might not eat beforehand. It's generally considered inappropriate to tell your guests to eat beforehand if your ceremony is at a mealtime. A lot of guests won't have time to do this. If your ceremony is at 4 or 5 p.m., for example, your guests are going to be getting ready prior to that time, and then you have to consider their travel time. So the last time that they may have eaten may have been 2 or 3 o'clock, and that's not fair to your guests to expect them to go that amount of time without eating. Chances are they're going to leave to go get food, and that's not what you want. You want to spend time with your guests on your wedding day, and you want them to be happy and comfortable and fed. And finally, number 8, not feeding your vendors is another major faux pas. The vendors you need to feed are the vendors that are going to be with you all day. So this includes your photographers, your videographers, possibly your makeup artists if you have them for the whole day for touch-ups. This includes your DJ. A lot of these vendors will already have a meal in their contract, so they require you to feed them, but if they don't, you need to feed your vendors. A lot of people think,
what the heck, I'm already paying an arm and a leg for their services, why do I need to pay for their meal too?
They're responsible for capturing one of the most important days of your life. And I'm pretty sure you want your vendors to be in a good mood. I know that when I'm hungry, I'm not in a good mood. I feel nauseous, I can't function. You really don't want your photographers or your videographers or your DJ to have to leave to go somewhere else to get a meal because they have to eat at some point during the day. You can't expect them to not eat. So, those are my 8 tips that I have in order to be a good host, how to properly host your guests, how to avoid being tacky, avoid being rude, all of that good stuff. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you come back again to watch more of my Wedding Bells series. If you like this video, then please click that thumbs up button and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more. Thanks, bye.